My ex-wife abandoned me when I got laid off, took everything, and said I was holding her back. Now, she wants in, after my $3.5 million lottery win. At 37, I found myself in a life that few could have predicted. Winning $3.5 million in the lottery changed everything, but not in the way most people imagine. The story, though, really began 9 years ago, back when I was 30 and living in a modest two-bedroom apartment in Pittsburgh with my wife. Back then, I was working as a systems analyst for a mid-sized tech company. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid the bills and offered security. My wife and I had met in college during orientation week and fell for each other quickly, full of energy and aspirations. She often spoke of building a life together that would stand the test of time. After graduation, we got married and settled into what looked like a happy and stable life. I worked full-time while she stayed at home. She used to refer to herself as the CEO of the household, though in practice most of the responsibilities and decisions still fell on my shoulders. I didn't mind it much in the beginning. I loved her, and I believed love meant sacrifice. We weren't rich, but we were doing okay. I managed to save diligently, took her out to nice places occasionally, and even surprised her with small getaways when finances allowed. But the more I tried, the more I noticed she seemed discontent. She wanted a larger house, designer clothes, a newer car. While I tried to meet her expectations, deep down I could tell that she measured our happiness against material benchmarks. Then, at 34, the company I worked for went through a major restructuring. Despite being a top performer, my role was deemed redundant. I walked out that day with a severance package, a box of belongings, and a bruised ego. I came home optimistic that I'd find something new quickly, but her reaction was far from reassuring. There was no comfort, no encouragement, just cold detachment. Within weeks, she began to change. Her tone turned sharp, her words laced with disdain. Remarks like, "Maybe you weren't good enough," and "I didn't marry a failure," cut deep. I tried to explain that I had a plan, that we had savings to carry us for a few months while I applied for new roles. But she wasn't interested. What once seemed like a partnership turned into a one-sided equation. It became clear she hadn't been in love with me, but with the stability I provided. 3 months into my job search, she asked for a divorce. No discussion, no counseling, just a cold declaration. "I can't do this anymore. I want a different life." I pleaded with her to give it some time, to remember the years we had invested in each other. But her mind was made up. She said she wouldn't waste her best years on a man who couldn't promise a better future. That was the day I understood just how conditional her love had been. The divorce process was brutal. She demanded half of everything: our joint savings, the car, even the antique engagement ring that had belonged to my grandmother. I refused to give up the ring. It was a piece of my family's history, a symbol of love far deeper than what we had shared. She called me selfish and vindictive, but I didn't budge. I let her have the rest. The furniture, the car, the savings, just so I could start fresh without her shadow hanging over me. She moved on quickly, parading her new relationship across social media within weeks. That stung more than I cared to admit. I buried myself in odd jobs, manual labor, temp work, anything to get by. Eventually, I landed a stable gig at a warehouse and picked up freelance tech projects on the side. It wasn't ideal, but it gave me breathing room. I lived frugally and kept to myself, focused on rebuilding. One late evening, on a whim, I bought a scratch-off ticket while grabbing a coffee at a gas station. I almost didn't scratch it right away, but something told me to check. I stared at the numbers for a long time, not quite believing what I saw. I took it to the clerk. He scanned it, looked up with wide eyes and said, "You might want to sit down." I had won $3.5 million. Disbelief was my first emotion, followed by a cautious kind of joy. I hired a financial advisor within the week. We talked long-term planning, investments, tax strategies. I didn't go wild. I bought a comfortable home in a quiet neighborhood, upgraded my car, and tucked the rest away into diversified portfolios. For a while, life was blissfully quiet. Then came the news release. State law required winners of large jackpots to be named publicly. And that's when the messages started. My ex reached out casually at first, a simple, "Hope you're doing well" text. I ignored it. More followed. Messages about missing me, wondering if we could meet for coffee, how she had grown and changed. When I didn't respond, she showed up at my house. Her tone was sweet, her eyes calculated. She spoke of regret, of learning from her past. I let her talk, but my instincts had already drawn the conclusion. She wasn't back because of love. She was back because of the money. I told her plainly that I wasn't interested in reopening old wounds. She claimed she wasn't there for financial reasons. I didn't believe her. Not then, not ever. The situation escalated. One afternoon, she called to inform me that because we had been married for so long, she might be entitled to a portion of the lottery winnings. I laughed, not out of humor, but sheer disbelief. We had been divorced for over 2 years. Everything I now owned was acquired after the split. But her persistence only grew. Soon she contacted my mother, telling her how much she wanted to make things right. My mother, always polite but fiercely protective, shut her down without a second thought. Still, my ex kept pushing. She showed up uninvited to a party I hosted, blending in with guests and pretending like she belonged. Then she raised a toast, speaking of second chances and redemption, making everyone uncomfortable. I made it clear, in front of everyone, that her presence was neither welcomed nor appropriate. And then came the lawsuit. I received a letter from her attorney claiming a portion of the winnings as part of marital assets. My own lawyer handled it swiftly. The claim was baseless, and they knew it. After we filed a formal response, the matter dissolved quickly. But it didn't end there. One evening, I caught her sitting in her car outside my house, staring at the front door. I walked out to confront her. She rolled down the window and launched into a tirade about betrayal and selfishness. According to her, I owed her a share for the years we spent together. I reminded her of the simple truth. She left when I had nothing. She didn't want a life with me, only the comfort that came with success. Her narrative didn't match reality, and no matter how many times she repeated it, it wouldn't make it true. The final straw came when I bumped into one of her old friends at the store. She mentioned she'd heard we were reconnecting, that my ex was helping me manage the lottery money. I was stunned. The lies she was spreading were bold and damaging. I made it a point to clear the air. I reached out to a mutual acquaintance and laid everything out. The texts, the visits, the legal threats. Word spread fast. Soon, people in our old circle began to see her for what she had become. A manipulator looking for a shortcut back to luxury. She sent one last text, accusing me of destroying her reputation. I forwarded it to my lawyer and blocked her for good. Since then, life has been peaceful. I've focused on people who stood by me during the hardest days, those who offered kindness without expecting anything in return. I travel now, spend time with family, and work on personal projects that bring me fulfillment. The money gave me freedom, but the real treasure has been the clarity that came with it. As for her, last I heard, her relationship had ended. She'd lost her job, and she was back living with her parents. Life has a strange way of revealing people's true colors when the spotlight fades. I don't wish her harm, but I do wish she learned something from it all. Some lessons come with time, others with loss, and some, like mine, come wrapped in a winning ticket that changed everything. Thanks for listening. If you want more real stories with deeper life lessons, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.